start recording because that seems like a smart thing to do. And welcome to another Talisman Digital 5th Edition developer stream. This time I am doing a special developer stream for the 5 new characters that we've added to Talisman Digital 5th Edition as part of the Warhammer Skulls Festival. If you haven't checked out the Warhammer Skulls Festival, go do that because it is a really cool event. The Alliances trailer that we put together got featured in that showcase, which was really cool, along with a bunch of other Warhammer stuff that was really fun to see. So yeah, basically, as of right now, as of recording, there is a lot going on in the world of Talisman, especially Talisman Digital 5th Edition, which is all very exciting. So I wanted to do a little stream. Normally I do these on a Wednesday, and I had a little bit of time between meetings, so I figured I'd play some Talisman Digital 5th Edition, show off all these new characters, or should I say returning characters. Returning characters seems like a better way of describing it. Well, yeah, it is a better way of describing it because it's more accurate. The Ranger and the Swordsman, and I will be the Druid. Alright, so we've got the 5 characters that we've remastered and just added to Digital 5th Edition. For anyone that doesn't know, Druid and the Minstrel are probably the most exciting ones because they were 2 characters that were originally in 4th Edition, but then weren't included in the physical version of the 5th Edition of Talisman. So, for those that don't know, Talisman's been around for 40 plus years at this point, so it's a game that's been around for a long time, and it's had a number of different editions, different printings, and the most recent of those printings is what you can see the digital adaptation of here, 5th edition. And like I said, in 5th edition they removed the Druid and the Minstrel from the character roster in the base game. So one of the good things about us being able to make the digital version is, instead of having to physically print those new miniatures, we can make digital versions of them. So we've been able to bring back the Druid and the Minstrel, so you can round out that 4th edition character roster if you're a fan of 4th edition. So, right, we are playing with the Reaper and the Frost March. Speaking of remastered things, anyone that doesn't know, we are remastering 4th edition Talisman content to bring it into digital 5th edition. So basically it means that we're taking those old expansions that were released for the previous edition of Talisman, taking them and fully remastering them so they fit within everything else that's happening within the new version of Talisman, which is quite fun. It's quite a bit of work, but we know that people really love those old expansions, those classic expansions, so being able to play with them in the new 5th edition style, with all the rules, all the updates, all the quality of life improvements, we knew from the get-go that's something we wanted to offer. So we're really excited that we've been able to offer that, and we've been able to offer it for free to anyone who owns the previous digital version of that expansion. So say for example you own the Reaper for Talisman Digital Classic Edition, whether that's on Steam, GOG, mobile, Switch, all you need to do is sign into your Nomad account in Digital 5th Edition and Digital Classic Edition, and you can sync across that purchase and you'll get the remastered version at no additional cost, which is something that we've seen a lot of people do. Like, we've got the stats in the back to see how many people are like signing into their Nomad account, how many people are on both games, and it's been really good to see the number of people who have like been playing Talisman for 10 plus years take across that original purchase and unlock the 5th edition version in digital 5th edition. Character, no, we want choose characters because I specifically want this stream to show off the 5 new guys. Change of fate, yes. Let's do Diatoad because we're playing with classic characters. We might as well play with classic rules. No, let's not do fatality because I want to stick with random first player, replacing quests, Reaper. Yeah, let's just use the cards. Let's use the cards. I'm not really that fussed about. I'm not really that fussed about that. Can't use the Dance Macabre because Grim Reaper's not in. Let's do Crown and Scepter, which is not quite the... Actually, no, let's just do Race to Win. I'm happy to just do Race to Win. Keep it simple. Keep it easy. All right, that has deselected all of my dudes, so I'm gonna reselect all of the. Cool. All right, I think we're set up and ready to go. So let's dive into it. Yeah, I figured because Skulls Festival, because there's a lot going on with Talisman right now, and like I said, I've got a little bit of time in between meetings and sorting out other exciting Talisman things. I figured I'd do a little stream, chat some Talisman, talk to you guys directly since the big update with all the new characters, and yeah, just hang out a little bit. So let's do draw a spell. Path of Destiny. Cool. What does that actually do? It does not have a quest at the start of the turn. That character must draw and accept a Warlock quest spell. Okay, so I can use that. I can use that on me when it comes around to me. Alright, so we've got the Ranger, Jester, Swordsman. Yeah, it's really nice to see some extra characters get added to digital 5th edition, because I think one of the things that we're very aware of is that because the older version of Talisman has been around for so long, it's had a chance to get such a huge roster of characters. So like, I think there's more than 100 at this point characters in Digital Classic Edition. So going from Digital Classic Edition, where you've got 100 characters to choose from, to Digital 5th Edition, where like at launch we had the base game characters, and obviously as we've added the remastered expansions, those have added characters, but to be able to add more characters to the game is something that we know players have been really excited about. So like, we're just building on what we've currently set up with Digital 5th Edition, and like I said, it's really been nice to see the number of people who have made that transition from Classic Edition to Digital 5th Edition to get on board with Talisman. So alright, let's go to Ruins. Let's not fight the Ranger. Shrine and Shield. What we got? Spell. I'll take a spell. I'm not offended by a spell. Bolster. Cast on yourself when you're about to engage battle. Psychic combat. Roll 1 die and add the result to your attack score. Cool. That'll help me if I stumble across something I don't particularly want to stumble across. Alright. Minstrel re-rolling. Minstrel fight. Let's do a Minstrel fight. Successful minstrel fight. We are all quite bunched up together. Also, something I've shown off a little bit on the Nomad Discord, but I can talk about here as well, is the fact that for anyone that doesn't know, in Digital Classic Edition, for each character we had a little icon that represented them on the board. But we decided, because we were upgrading to Digital 5th Edition, we wanted to make it feel more like you're playing the actual physical board game. So we put in the effort and time to actually make 3D models, as if, just like you would see on the physical board game, of all the characters. So like all of the characters that came with the base game, obviously we had the base game physical version to base them off. So like for the warrior, for 5th edition, a tiny little warrior figure does come in the box when you buy the box. So like we could actually get the 3D files off of Hasbro and Games Workshop, and we could use those as reference to make sure that the models that we have in game are totally accurate to what you would see in the physical game. So we're like, cool, let's sort that. That seems like a good thing to do, because, you know, we're aiming for recreating that experience that you'd expect playing the physical version. Nothing happens. Cool. I'm alright with that. Yeah, we want to represent the physical version of the game as accurately as we can. So obviously that works if we've got the originals to base it off. But for 5th edition, because the Druid and the Minstrel aren't in the physical game for 5th edition, at least not yet, there isn't a physical mini to base our model off. We said, okay, well, what do we do in that instance? And we talked to Games Workshop, we talked to Hasbro, and we said, okay, well, what if we made our own digital minis as if they were what you would see in the physical game? Hey, Gaming Master LT, thanks for tuning in. Yes, so we went to Hasbro, went to Games Workshop, and said, you know, would you be happy with us making these miniatures in the same style as what you would do for the physical game? I said, yeah, sure. Do what you want to do. Send it over to us. We'll either give feedback, let you know if it needs changing. So we set out, started making these models, and I think they look really good in game. Like, I think, given that we obviously had the new artwork that we'd made, such as the Druid, to use as a reference point, I think we've been able to, our art team, have been able to make some really, really nice 3D models. Let's draw a spell. Healing, cool. Do I actually need that? I don't think so. Alright, Ghost. 6. Nice. Yeah, so it's interesting to see like the reaction from the community, because obviously Talisman has a big physical... fans of the physical game make up a big portion of Talisman fans, because the physical game has been around for so long. So we want to make sure that anything that we do still fits with the physical side of Talisman. Obviously, people have pointed out you probably wouldn't be able to make the Jester have floating balls if he was a real mini, but that's one of the cheats that we can do because it's digital. Alright, I can't move because of the blizzard. Well, I can move, I can only move one. So I'm going to change my alignment to evil. And then I'm going to move to the graveyard. Yeah, let's gain a fate. Let's gain a fate. Where are we off to? The Minstrel. Yeah, and I believe, if I'm remembering rightly, I think Talisman Island, the #1 resource for Talisman fan information content, has already made some 3D printed versions of the remastered characters that we've made for 5th edition. So it's really cool to see the community jumping in on it like that. Alright, can I bolster? Can I bolster or have I missed the window? I think I've missed the window. Yeah, missed the window. But yes, basically, at the moment, I'm also sinking down in my chair. I need to get a new chair. Chair at the moment's falling apart. Fate Stealer. Armor. Bold. Didn't pay off. It could have done. I might re-roll. Did not pay off. I don't know what you were aiming for in the middle region, but alright. Let's roll the dice and see where we want to go. Yeah, so I was going to say, we've actually seen it has been officially revealed by Avalon Hill, the next expansion for the physical version of 5th edition, which is Nemesis, which is really exciting. So for those who don't know, there's one expansion for 5th edition that's already out, and like I said, there's another expansion for 5th edition that has just been revealed. So the first one is Alliance's Fate Beckons, which we have announced a release date for. We've announced the release date is going to be July 10th. I just had to double check in my head what was actually happening there. But yes, July 10th, we are going to be releasing Alliance's Fate Beckons digitally. So it is the first 5th edition exclusive expansion that we're going to be doing, which is very exciting. It is going to be available on Steam, and then we're hoping, once we've put out Alliances, to look at what we want to do next for digital 5th edition, whether that includes different platforms, whether that includes updates to the base game or more remastered expansions. We're basically focusing 100% on the Alliances expansion for now, which, like I said, is going to be coming out on July 10th, which is very exciting. Choose items to purchase. I'm all good. I think I'm all good. Let's visit the Mystic though. I've got enough fate, I can reroll. Cool. I'll get a craft. That was worth doing. Yes, so Alliances. I'm getting very distracted. I've had a bit of a manic morning, so I feel like my head's not focusing like I should. But I'm going to talk about Alliances. So, as part of the Skulls showcase last week, did officially announce Alliance's Fate Beckons, the digital version. The Steam page for Alliance's Fate Beckons is out, so you can go wishlist it, get notified when it goes live. We also have pre-orders available for Alliance's Fate Beckons. That's over on the Nomad Games website. If you search Nomad Games Talisman on Google or whatever search engine you like. I always forget that people can use things that aren't Google. But yes, if you search for Nomad Games Talisman, you'll find our website. You can find all about Digital 5th Edition, and also we do offer the ability to pre-order through there, which I know quite a few people have done, which is very much appreciated, because it helps support our little team. It helps us make more great Talisman content, which is all we want to do, really. So, Alliance's Fate Beckons. Yes, we have announced it, and like I said, we are currently developing it as we speak. We have made quite a lot of good progress on it. We currently have, we're working towards a beta version of Alliance's Fate Beckons. So we've got quite a few really cool people who are part of our beta testing team, who are part of the Talisman community. Hey, Geeky Chappy. So, like I said, the next stage that we're going into is sorting out a beta, so that the people who are in our beta group can actually test alliances, which is very exciting. So we're hoping to do that fairly soon, because then that gives us a good amount of lead time in between getting the beta out, and then being able to tweak anything that needs tweaking, because something that we're quite aware of is alliances is because it's a co-op expansion and because it's explicitly co-op, alliances is going to be played a lot with online multiplayer, and it also has a lot of features in the expansion that we've never implemented in Talisman digitally before. So because of that, we want to make sure that we thoroughly test alliances, and thoroughly adjust anything that needs adjusting, because there's a lot of information exchanged between players that in a normal game of Talisman you wouldn't really need to consider. So for anyone that hasn't played alliances, a good example is you now have a shared fate pool between you as a team. So instead of everyone having their own individual fate, you have a shared pool which you can agree to take from, but it needs to be like a team consensus. So implementing the kind of system where we allow people to agree or disagree, or veto on players doing certain actions. We've never had to do that in Talisman before. So making sure that system works and those kind of systems work, especially when you're playing online, is a really big thing, and a really big part of why we're making sure that we test alliances thoroughly with a wide range of people on different setups, with different expectations of the expansion, so that we can make sure that... Oh, am I evil? I am evil. Yeah, let's go to the graveyard. Let's pray. I'll gain 2 fate. I am rolling in the fate. I'm quite happy with that. What was I saying? Yes, we are going to be thoroughly testing alliances. We have tons of cool alliance stuff to show you between now and when the expansion actually launches. And yeah, we're really excited to be working on our first exclusive to 5th edition expansion. It's not a remaster, it's not something we're bringing over from 4th edition. This is entirely new, and that's very exciting. So yes, we're doing a lot to make sure that Alliances is as good as it can possibly be. One thing that we have actually, I'm probably going to do a full developer diary on this at a future point, but we've spent a lot of time with Alliances because it is a purely co-op. Oh, the Minstrel's been killed. Well, I thought this would be a stream to show off the 5 new characters. Turns out the Ranger's looking for blood. Yeah, so basically what I was saying was, with the development of Alliances, one of the things that we spent a lot of time focusing on, and have spent a lot of time focusing on over the last many months that we've been working on the expansion, is the fact that because this is a purely co-op expansion, like it's so focused on the co-op element. Like, we spent months testing and working on and figuring out, you know, what's the ways that we can bring this expansion to people that puts its best foot forward. And one of the things that we came across internally was when we were playing the game, when we were playing the expansion in like the early testing phases, when we were playing it online with each other, amazing. Like, adds so much depth to the game, adds so much more complexity, really feels like you have to work together, communicate, and figure out what everyone else is doing in order to actually complete the trials. Like, it's really well balanced. A lot of fun when you're playing online. Like, we've managed to really capture the same feeling that we got when we were playing in the office. I'm like, cool, great. This is exactly how it should be. Like, we're really happy with how Alliances is coming along. Great. Anytime we wanted to play Alliances with AI, the nightmare that it caused, because for many reasons, the AI in Talisman, it doesn't play nice with other people. That combination of the AI either taking stuff that it didn't need to take, not really understanding the overarching goals, the AI just not being a good teammate is the easiest way to describe it. The AI just wasn't cool, which is fine. Like, the AI doesn't always have to be cool. The AI doesn't have to be your best friend, apart from in the Alliances expansion, where explicitly we do need the AI to just support the player as much as it can. And we spent ages tweaking and adjusting and making sure that the AI was as good as it could be, and we were never really happy with it. It was never really the place where we wanted it to be. So a couple of months ago, we were like, okay, what? We can either spend ages working on the AI for Alliances, trying and battling against all of the things that it's doing that makes it unfun to play with for this expansion, or we can adjust what we're focusing on and instead make sure that both the online and the single player and local multiplayer experience for Alliances is the best that it can be. And like I said, I'm probably going to write a full developer diary up about this in the near future, because I want to be transparent with you all. One of the things that I've always aimed for and always will aim for is the transparency with you all. I don't want to lose 1 gold. I've only got 1 gold. Gain 1 fate. cool. I'm back to where I was. Yeah, I always want to be transparent with you all. And like I said, I'll do a full developer diary about this, but we basically made the decision that you won't be able to play alliances with AI teammates. You will still be able to play it solo. So you will either be able to play it with other players locally, or you will be in charge of your team. So the way it'll work is you'll have whichever 4 characters you want to play as, and then you will be able to do all of the characters turn by turn. So yeah, you will still be able to play it solo. We are just not going to be including AI in alliances, because like I said, every time we played with it, every time we've tried to make the AI work with alliances, it has been a miserable experience, and we don't want players to have a miserable experience with alliances. And that's what led to that tough discussion where we were saying, okay, how do we want to do this? We could just leave the AI in. Will that mean that, yes, technically you could play with the AI? Will it be a terrible experience? Probably. Will it mean that players get turned off from this otherwise really, really amazing expansion? Yes. Is that what we want? No. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to write a full dev diary up about it, about why we made that decision. Yes, like I said, Geeky Chappy, we didn't want this to be the route that we had to go down. It is a bit of a shame. In an ideal world, we would have had it so that, the AI is the best it can be, and it will work with you perfectly through alliances and be a great teammate. But we'd rather not have you play a game of alliances where the computer just ruins the game for you, like just makes it so that it's unwinnable. Because with the way that the AI was acting in alliances, with all of the extra features that it had to take into account, it basically made it so that trials weren't beatable when you played it with AI. And if you can't beat any of the trials, it's a bit, you might as well not be playing it, right? It's almost like you're playing it, but then there's no way to progress. So we're like, okay, well, is it something that we want to potentially look at adding in the future? Yes. Like, if we're able to figure out how to make the AI play nicely with alliances after it's launched, cool. We will figure that out. We will add that in the future. Do we want alliances to get off to a bad start, leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth? No, we don't. So yeah, like I said, that is the decision that we made. And like I've said on multiple streams, multiple places where I've talked online, I want to be as transparent with everyone as possible as to the reason why we're making these choices. So I'll talk about it more in the future. But for now, I wanted to at least give everyone a heads up. And if anyone's got any questions about it, if anyone's got any comments, send them my way, because that is literally my job, to answer those replies, answer those comments. Right, 6. Yes. So, now that the Alliance's AI explanation has been discussed, I can finally answer Funnel Really's question, why does the 6 now look like a 1? So that is because in the physical version of Talisman, specifically the 5th edition, Games Workshop and Hasbro changed the way that the dice look. So in 4th edition, the 1 on the dice was represented by an actual talisman icon. In the 5th edition, it is now represented by a 1, as in the icon, and now 6 on the dice is a talisman icon. Let's gain strength. I need a bit of strength. So yes, basically, 4th edition. Will the 4th edition ever move to this nice new engine? So, good question. Also, I think I explained about the dice. Like I said, I'm feeling a bit scatty today, so apologies if I'm a bit all over the place. That's better. So yes, in the physical game, they swapped around the 6 and the 1. So we've reflected that in the digital version. Will the 4th edition ever move to this nice new engine? So, to answer that question, yes, with caveats. So, when you are talking about 4th edition, if you specifically mean the content that has been made for the 4th edition of Talisman, then yes, that is the plan. That is what we are currently in the process of doing, and that's what we've already started. So for 2 of the expansions that were released for 4th edition, and that them being the Reaper and the Frost March, we have taken those expansions and we have fully remastered them to fit within the 5th edition rule set and the 5th edition style. So like Cerberus, that is currently on screen, that is a card from the Reaper expansion in 4th edition. That is a card that we took as part of that expansion, took the original artwork, updated it so it looks like all of the other cards in 5th edition, and then we have made it so that it works within the digital 5th edition. So it's a nice new engine, everything's updated, cool. So the plan is, like I said, we've done that with 2 expansions so far, is to keep doing that with those classic 4th edition expansions that we know everyone knows and loves. So we currently have another remastered expansion where the artwork is currently being worked on by our awesome art team at the moment. I can't tell you what that is because that is still secret. But as time goes on, our plan is to add more and more 4th edition content into digital 5th edition. So all of the benefits that come with that, the deck editor, the new rules, the streamlined rules that come with 5th edition, all the characters that are going to be added to 5th edition, such as the ones in Alliances, being able to play all of that 4th edition and 5th edition content in the same game in this brand new engine that works much better than 4th edition, Classic Edition did. Yes. Basically, is the answer to that question. Alright, we've got Black Unicorn versus the Jester. Also, how's the Jester got that much craft? That's insane. Also, realise while I'm having a bit of downtime, I can also promote something else that's happened because, like I said, it's been a very busy time here in Talisman. We released a demo for Digital 5th Edition over on Steam. So if you are a Talisman fan, if you've played tons of Classic Edition, and you want to see what all the fuss is about with the new Digital 5th Edition, you can go to Steam right now, go to the store page for Talisman Digital 5th Edition, and at the top there is an option to download the demo. We've set it up so that... Ooh, Talismonger. Yeah, let's go with Talismonger. We've set it up so that you can choose between the warrior or the wizard, and then you can play a game of Talisman Digital 5th Edition as much as you like. When in doubt about AI player gaining lots of strength / craft, just claim it's cheating and a fix always works. It's true. This is true. Right, fun and really. What I'm really asking is there ever a plan to be able to play the 4th edition but with the new UI and stuff, but with all the 4th edition rules and artwork? Okay, fair question. One which I can answer. Let's get a craft. Right, so if you're asking whether or not we'll take the old version of Talisman, give it this new UI, give it the 5th edition content, add stuff like the deck editor, but keep everything in terms of the rules and the old artwork, we are not going to do that. And it's not because we've turned around and said, no, we can't be bothered, nah, that's not what we want to do. There's a number of different reasons that we haven't done that, which I can talk about now. I'm sure I've mentioned bits of this previously, but having it all in one place is always a good thing. So, the reason, first of all, why we haven't just taken the old version of Talisman and just added a new UI and updated the rules to be within 5th edition. The old version of Talisman came out in 2014. So it's been around for like 11 years. And that old version of Talisman was originally designed to be just the base game for 4th edition, using a adjusted game engine that wasn't ever really designed for Talisman in the first place. And we were like, okay, we'll put that out and then we'll move on to the next project. Cool, fine. The issue arose when it turns out it wasn't going to be just we put out the base game for 4th edition and moved on. What ended up happening was, that 4th edition version was really popular, and we got asked if we wanted to make the expansions for it. We said, okay, we can do that. So we then built upon that foundation that wasn't really meant to have all those expansions added to it. And then for the next 11 years, we continued to add to that shaky foundation that was never really meant to have anything added to it. So, for anyone who's played Digital Classic Edition, or hung out in the Steam forums, or seen me play it in the past, you'll know that while Digital 4th Edition does work, and everything in it works mostly as it should, it's not the smoothest experience. And there were a lot of technical issues, like a lot of tech debt with Digital Classic Edition, which meant that adding new content to Digital 4th Edition, Digital Classic Edition, was taking longer and longer and longer and causing more and more issues. So when we were originally approached by Games Workshop and Hasbro, and they said, okay, we are coming out with a 5th edition of Talisman, all new, super exciting, based on previous versions, so it's not changing that much, but we want to make you a digital version. We want you to make the digital version of 5th edition. Like, cool, awesome, like, we know what we're doing with Talisman, we love Talisman, we are more than happy to make a digital version of the 5th edition. I am now a toad. sadness. Yeah, we are more than happy to make a digital 5th edition. So we were then presented with a number of different options. So option 1 was we updated the current version of Talisman that we had available. Option 2 was we strip back the engine that we used for Digital Classic Edition, remove a lot of the tech debt that we had, and use that as a basis to build upon to make a new engine for Talisman, a new version of Talisman. The third option was we just make it completely from scratch. Like, whether that be in Unity or Unreal, we just make it completely from scratch and make Digital 5th Edition like that. So the reason that... So basically we went with option 2. We completely stripped back the engine and then built it up again so that we knew we could add all of the 4th edition content, all of the new 5th edition content that's coming to this new version of Talisman. We wanted like a fresh, clean start so that we could make a really, really, really definitive version of Talisman digital edition. So that's the option we went with. The reason that we didn't go with option 1 is because, like I said, Talisman Digital Classic Edition is like 11 years old at this point. It was very, very difficult to add anything new to that game without breaking things to the point where we needed to spend a long time fixing it. We did try. We absolutely tried. I can promise you that. We have prototypes hidden in the Nomad Games archives where we tried to just take the classic game that was 4th edition and just update the UI, add the new features that were included in the physical version of 5th edition, add the new rules, add the new artwork, and it just would not play nice. Like, maybe if we'd spent years working at it, it finally would have done what we wanted it to do. But it was such a nightmare to try and get working because we're, like I said, we're taking a game that is 11 years old and trying to update it with the new UI, everything like that. All of the features, like the 3D models for the characters, trying to get that to work in that old version of Talisman that's 11 years old was an absolute nightmare. So we looked at it and said, okay, well, we could do this, but it will take absolutely forever. And not only that, it will make it so that any updates that we want to do in the future will take even longer. So we made the tough decision to turn around and say, look, this is just not, that's not an option. It's not an option. So in terms of asking, will the old version of Talisman be updated to match like the new UI that we've got in 5th edition? That's the reason why you won't be able to do that. And that's the reason why, with all the will in the world, even if we wanted to do that, it would take so much time and so much effort. It just wouldn't be worth the time it would take us away from doing other things. Like, in the time that it's taken us to make 5th edition and develop alliances and 2 remastered expansions and remastered characters, I think we'd still be struggling to update Classic Edition to have all the features that 5th edition does. And like, yes, that sucks. That's just the reality of working with something that's 11 plus years old. And to answer your question for the 4th edition rules and artwork, important to note, and I've pointed this out a couple of times, but it's still important to note, is that for 4th edition is... I'm trying to explain myself. Talisman Digital Edition, Talisman Digital 5th Edition, it's based on a physical game. This is still a licensed title. As much as people might associate this with Talisman at this point, like this is what people look at and say, oh, that's Talisman, it's still based on a physical game. It's still based on a game from Games Workshop, Avalon Hill, and Hasbro. So when it comes to artwork, and when it comes to rules a little bit less so, but mainly artwork, is the fact that the artwork, that the time and effort that Games Workshop and Hasbro have put into the new artwork for 5th edition, we have a obligation, we have a want, and we have a, well, it's what we should do, is to reflect all of the changes and hard work that they've done for the physical game. Oh, Jester, you are an absolute knob. Ooh, nearly beat you. A frog nearly beat you, my friend. I've got 1 life. I'm absolutely going to heal myself when I get back around to my turn. Yeah, so even if we wanted to turn around and say, fuck it, we're just going to use all of the 4th edition artwork because that's what people prefer, there is legal reasons why we can't just do that. So that's an answer for the reason why the artwork is new in 5th edition. Rules, like I said, less so. It's less of a thing. We can use house rules to make the game more like it was in 4th edition. That's less of a concern. But yes, that was a very long-winded, I need a drink, way to answer your question. Funnel, really. I hope that did answer your question. And like I said earlier in the stream, one of the things that I want to make sure really happens here, I'll take it. I'll take the combat that just happened while I was talking. One of the things I always want to do is be as transparent with you all as possible. So if that means that I have to spend 10 minutes on a long ramble as to why we've done a certain thing, I'm always happy to do that. Right. I'm back from being a toad, which is fun. Let's go back to replying to some comments because you are all asking really good questions in the comments. Cabal123 asks, how's the online match finder in this version? Does it still separate by region like the old game? Yes, it does still separate by region like the old game, and it still has a really good community, just like the Classic Edition had with the Discord, where people would organise games over at discord.gg/nomadgames. There's a whole wide range of 5th edition players on the Nomad Games Discord, so it is fairly easy to find a game online, at least in my experience. Alright. Elfior242 asks, okay, about prices. I bought every add-on, character, legendary deck, probably spent about €100 for that, and buying all 5th content again is painful. Do you plan super promotional prices for people like me? Right, sorry I didn't get to your answer sooner, Elfior, first of all. I'm assuming you're still in the chat. So, we knew that with Digital 5th Edition, people have invested both a lot of time and a lot of money in the old version of Talisman. We didn't want to just say, oh well, you have to start again from scratch. Whatever. We don't care about you. Ooh, that was a bit of a weird trumpet. With Digital 5th Edition and Digital Classic Edition, I've got too many. Let's get rid of invisibility. with Digital 5th Edition, we announced that we are going to be bringing back content from 4th Edition. So, like I said, we've already started doing that. You've got the Reaper, you've got Frostmarch, you've got another remastered expansion on the way. We've just launched our first batch of remastered characters. About time yet, more than 10,000 hours. I'm getting there. I want to answer every question thoroughly, and I want to answer every question properly. So if that takes me a bit longer, sue me. I'm not one of those developers that's going to turn around and go yes, no, or not answer the question in the first place. So yes, basically, when we announced that we were going to be remastering those old expansions, that older content, and bringing it into Digital 5th Edition, not just a straight port, not just whacking it in, taking the time to properly remaster it so that everything fits within that 5th Edition style, we said, anyone who... Can I cast healing on myself? I want to heal myself before I forget to do that. We said anyone who had purchased expansions or content in Digital Classic Edition, so whether that be add-ons, characters, legendary decks, all of the stuff that you've paid for Talisman Digital Classic Edition, when we bring that over to Digital 5th Edition, all you need to do is, like Primordial Lee has pointed out, is sign into your Nomad account on both Talisman Digital Classic Edition and Talisman Digital 5th Edition. It will sync across that purchase, and it will say, okay, you owned the Frostmarch in Classic Edition, for example. You then are given access to the remastered version, which has new artwork, has been adjusted to fit within the 5th Edition rule set, allows you to use it with the new deck editor. You will get that without having to purchase it again. All you need to purchase is the base game. So, purchase the base 5th Edition, sign into your Nomad account on both versions. It'll automatically detect what you've purchased, no matter where you purchased it from, by the way. It isn't just if you bought it on Steam, you get it on Steam, blah de blah. If you bought it on mobile, if you bought it on GOG, if you bought it on Nintendo Switch, wherever you've bought those classic expansions, all you need to do is sign into that Nomad account on both platforms, and it will unlock for you. No, other than the base game, because obviously you still need to buy the base game, there are no extra purchases necessary to get that remastered content. Not only that, so that's something that we were happy to offer because we know people have invested a lot of time, and like I said, a lot of time and money into that older version of Talisman. So that is something that we were always happy to do. With both the Reaper and the Frostmarch, as we speak, so depending on when people are watching this stream, it might have changed, because we are remastering those old expansions, and because we know a lot of people have those expansions in their Steam library, we have specifically set up legacy loyalty bundles for Talisman Digital 5th Edition, where if you own a previous expansion, so like the Frostmarch is the one that we've released most recently, we have set up a bundle on Steam where you can get both Talisman Digital 5th Edition and a copy of the Frostmarch. Now, the reason that we've done this is, say you already own the Frostmarch on Steam, which, Elfior, I imagine you do. You might have it on something else, but you might have it on Steam. Say you already own Frostmarch on Steam. Because it is a complete your collection bundle here on Steam, it will detect that you already own the Frostmarch for the original version of Talisman. And because it's a bundle, it will take an extra discount off 5th Edition for you. So I think the bundle discount's something like 10%. So even though you already own Frostmarch, you'll still get that 10% discount on Digital 5th Edition. And the plan is to do that with all of the remastered expansions that we bring out, both now and in the future, is to make it so that if you own that original expansion, not only do you get to unlock the remastered in 5th edition without having to buy it again, you also get an extra discount through the bundle towards 5th edition, and that stacks as well. So currently we have the Skulls Festival on, and the Skulls Festival means that we've got the biggest discount on digital 5th edition that we've had since launch. So remastered characters are in. The 2 4th edition characters that everyone was missing from 5th edition are in. Those are free for everyone. So if you haven't jumped on 5th edition yet, you can get not only the discount that is in Skulls, but then you can stack the bundle discount if you already own Frostmarch on top of it. So, if you're asking, do you plan super promotional prices for people like me? Hopefully, what I've explained over the last 10 minutes shows that we haven't just said, oh, if you owned the old version of Talisman, if you spent €100, whatever, you need to buy it again at full price. We have tried our best to put in promotional prices for people like you, and not only prices but offers in terms of bringing over the old content that you know and love from 4th edition into 5th edition without you having to pay any extra to sync that across. That's why we have put all that effort into promotions. We've put all that effort into setting up so that Nomad accounts can sync across your purchases. Yeah. Obviously, I've just explained everything that we've done. I didn't know how much of that you knew about prior to asking the question. So if you already knew about any of that and you still think that we should do more, please let me know, because I'm always open to feedback. We are very community driven here at Nomad. So any feedback that you've got on that, please continue to throw my way. But yes, hopefully that answers your question. If not, let me know. Real Dave #1, yay, the swordsman was kept as a man. Yeah, we've kept all of the basically, when it came to taking those 4th edition characters and adapting them into 5th edition, because Games Workshop and Hasbro, they are the license holders. They can do whatever they want with the characters and change whatever they want. Like, anything that we do has to be approved by Games Workshop and Hasbro. So when it came to taking those classic characters such as the Swordsman, Minstrel, Druid, we basically used the 4th edition version as the benchmark, as the reference point, and tried to keep it as close to that original character as we could, while still fitting within the 5th edition style. So yeah, basically all of the characters, if you put on some glasses that made them look like they were in 5th edition, that's what we've tried to go for. Okay, get it, but now with one expansion I'll wait for more content. Base game is too boring for veteran players. So one of the things that so fair point, this is something that we absolutely did consider when we released 5th edition, which is the fact that people have gotten so used to playing Talisman with like at least 10 expansions enabled. Like, we knew that from the start. So one of the things that we have put a lot of time and effort into, I might as well quit this game because I want to show you guys what I am going to be doing. we have implemented a new feature that's exclusive to 5th edition, only available in 5th edition. One of the reasons, like I said before, we made 5th edition in a new engine is because this is the kind of thing that we never were able to do in Digital Classic, is the deck editor. So this is a new feature exclusive to Digital 5th edition, where you can take all of the cards that are in the adventure deck, or the spell deck, or the Warlock Quest deck, however you want it to be. Bear with me 1 second. Yes, so you can take all of the cards that come in each expansion and the base game, and you can choose whether to remove them, add extra copies, however you want to set up your own custom version of a deck. It'll tell you what the default number is, let you change however you want the game to be set up. So if there's specific cards that you don't like, if there's specific cards that you want to see more of, go for it. Go absolutely nuts. We've seen community members make some absolutely insane custom decks, especially as we've added more expansions. The way that people have combined expansions to put together really interesting decks to play with has been really, really fun. And as more and more expansions get added, we are just going to give you more and more options to play with. I know that there's certain cards in classic expansions like Tapestry Rewoven, I think that's the one it's called, from the Woodland, where the number of times I've seen people go, oh, if only I could just remove that one card from that expansion, it would be like the perfect expansion. That's what we're letting you do in 5th edition. And you can combine different spells, you can adjust what kind of setups you have, play with them online. We're giving you more tools to make the version of Talisman that you want to play. So fully understand where people want to wait for more content. It's fully fair. We know that because we've added the deck editor, veteran players will get so much more from this experience as we add more and more content to the game. Also, it's not just one expansion. We've added 2 so far. The Reaper and the Frost March are already added. And like I said, Alliances is coming soon. July 10th, to be specific. So we are going to be adding more and more and more and more and more content to the game as time goes on. So yeah, keep an eye out. Make sure you follow us on all the things, because more content is going to keep coming for Talisman Digital 5th edition. Real day number 1. So the Digital 5th edition is actually going to have more content than the physical one. Yes, which is quite exciting and quite cool, because the way that the no, I can keep that the same name. Obviously, we talk to Games Workshop and Hasbro. We've talked to them a lot during the development process of Digital 5th edition, and we're continuing to talk to them. But their focus at the moment is on making sure that they create exciting new expansions like Alliances, like Nemesis, whether or not they return to some of the more classic expansions like the Reaper, like Frostmarch, like City, like the Corner expansions, things like that. That's going to be up to them. That's what, if they want to do it, cool. We're going to do our own thing. So, because we're remastering and bringing old content, that's the second time the Minstrel's died this game. He's not doing good. Because we're going to be remastering 4th edition content and also bringing in the physical releases from 5th edition, we are going to have what we hope is the definitive Talisman experience, all in one place. So whether you want to play with your 4th edition expansions, or whether you want to play with stuff like Alliances and Nemesis, we have made sure that we have put forward digital 5th edition as the definitive version of Talisman that we can just continue to build upon. Mix and match. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to play with characters from Alliances with the Frostmarch expansion, go for it. If you want to make custom decks where you remove all of the cards from the base game, so you are purely playing with cards from the City expansion, that's the plan. That's what we want to be able to enable you to do. And like I said, fully understand when people turn around and say, "Oh, I'm going to wait until more stuff comes out for digital 5th edition." But like I said, with the deck editor, with all of the new stuff that we're going to be adding as time goes on, it's only going to get better. So everyone's point of view of when they want to jump into 5th edition is going to be different. Some people have already made the jump, which we're very happy for you to do so, because it means you are supporting our small studio. It means you are part of the people who are meaning that we can continue making more digital 5th edition content. But for some people, they've decided that this week, when it's on sale, that's the point where they're willing to jump in. For some people, it'll be the next sale or the next remastered expansion. And we're excited for more people to be jumping in on 5th edition. Yeah. Rambled a lot. Didn't really talk about what was going on in the game. This was basically a backdrop to me talking. But I hope that answered everyone's questions. It is coming up on my lunch, and I have a meeting in an hour. So, with all that said, I am going to sign off. But thank you massively for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for everyone who asked questions. Massively appreciate it. And if you haven't already, check out the Warhammer Skulls Festival, because this update for the new characters, that was all part of that festival. And like I said, we've got Alliances coming on July 10th, which is very exciting. What's awesome now, we're lucky to have Nomad Games handling digital Talisman. That's the thing, we feel very privileged to be trusted with such a beloved game. And like I've said, we want to do it justice. We want to do Talisman justice. We want to make sure that we get to a point where digital 5th edition puts Talisman's best foot forward, not just for us, but for anyone who's never experienced Talisman before. We want them to come into this game and go, oh, okay, this is the board game that I've heard so much about. Cool. This is exactly what I expected. So yes, I'm going to log off, have my lunch, and sort out some fun future Talisman stuff that I can't talk about just yet. But thanks again to everyone who's tuned in. If you haven't followed us, check us out. If you search for Nomad Games Talisman, you'll be able to find us on all the things. And yes, check out Digital 5th Edition. There's a demo, so you don't even have to buy it if you want to just check it out. But you should check it out because it's on sale. And if it isn't on sale, add it to your wish list. And if Alliances isn't out yet, add that to your wish list as well. And I will see you all next time we do a cool Talisman stream. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.